What do you think the challenges are with people actually coming into community and actually like walking, doing life with other people? What were some of your challenges with that?
So for me, I think the biggest part is relationships. We live in a society where we're on social media, right? So we think that's relationship, but when we finally get person to person, that's a whole different ball game. Oh, call me on the phone. I can text you. And it's like, hit me DMs. Oh well, my story, is always open, or you can message me on my, So like, I think it's just the society we live in, right, and the generation and the culture that's being formed around us, right, that we have to be mindful. Where it's like, hey, how do we get someone in to let them know, no, I'm here for you, and hopefully vice versa, you can be here for me as well. Where it's not like it's you know that someone wants you.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, I don't want you because of my own selfish desires, but I want you because I know that's what God placed me on this earth to do, was intentionally connect with you. And it doesn't have to be, just because I didn't know you 5 years ago, hey, I know you now. Let's grow. And a lot of people get in their mind frames, to me, because I know for me, it was more like, am I going to connect? Like, they don't really know me like that, so maybe I'm not really gonna fit in all the way, and so that leaves you a little bit reserved, right? You got some walls built up, so if something happens, it's like, okay, cool, I can be out anyway. And it's just like, and I think that's where it can be reservations for people, and I would encourage anyone that's your reservation. Go ahead and start chipping off at that wall and let the Lord work on you through that, and let those people in, because that's where your growth is going to come from, is being in an uncomfortable place, not a comfortable place, right? Like, you're comfortable in your bed when you wake up and before you go to work, but if you never go to work, you're not going to make anything. Yeah. So you got to get uncomfortable so you can be able to become comfortable.
That's really good.
That's real.
Wow.
I would also say, I know, I keep hearing things like, we haven't talked for a year, but like we pick it right where we left off.
Yeah.
It's like, you can't grow community if you're doing that. Right. Because you're never going to go past surface level. Like, there has to be, what we said before, like constantly showing up and remaining needs to happen. You can't go a year, months not talking and think that like it's all good. There needs to be the constant showing up, constant communication and checking in, and that's like something that's important.
I think one of the challenges that I have seen, not necessarily, well, I'd say experience, is being open-minded. I think, you're gonna go to a new space or a new group of people, and it may not be exactly what you're used to or what your expectations are. I always encourage people to just, throw away your expectations. Like, just go in. If you get an invite, like, you've never been there before, so you don't know what's going to be like. Even if, because it is going to be different. And I just think, be open-minded. I think that's huge. I definitely have spoke to a lot of friends who sort of mentioned some reservations, even just about like our friends group. And I'm like, yo, just it's cool, man. Like, no, we're not like what you. If you're from New York, like, no, we're not New Yorkers. Like, we live in we live in the suburbs of DC, and this is how we do it here. So I think being open-minded is like a huge component. And definitely what you're saying about being intentional. I think going back to what you said about roots, is like you gotta put those roots in. And that comes with being intentional. Like, like a seed is planted. It doesn't just, sometimes they do fall like naturally. That's just Christ. But like, if we are trying to grow, it's like, no, I'm gonna plant myself here in order to be watered, by these peers in this space.
Yeah, that's actually so good. I wanted to actually, I'm glad that you touched back on that, just like what Veronica was talking about, which is like, we could just, it's like nothing ever changed. Like, we pick up where we left off, and it's just like that intentionality. It's just like you said with the seed, like I always look at relationships as like plants and like flowers that like you gotta tend to it. Like,
water.
It's a living, breathing thing. Like, because you have two living, breathing people coming together, and so or multiple living, breathing people like coming together, the thing is alive. And so it's like, it has to actually be nurtured, it has to be watered, it has to be tended to. And so I think that sometimes like we may not necessarily, like you mentioned the comfortability thing, be comfortable with like being bumped up against so much in life, because if you bring another human or humans into your space, there is going to be friction, because iron is supposed to sharpen iron, and that is like almost like a violent act. Like that is very aggressive. It is it's past uncomfortable. It's like violence. If you think about iron sharpening iron, there are sparks. There is like, and so I think that concept, not even concept, that reality is so uncomfortable for people that they would rather not deal with it at all and just remain unchanged. And so and I think that it may just be like a lack of not like an ignorance thing, where it's like we think that we can actually grow without people and we can't.
Yeah, but you're gonna learn.
You're
gonna learn.
I
mean, in our group, I think any real friend group, like if a new person comes in and again, like they're being sharpened and accidentally or just in proximity, like just because you're in proximity, like no, this is how we do it.
Yeah.
And you can't act a certain way, or certain things just aren't gonna fly with this group.
Yeah.
But I wanted to sort of touch on, like we said, being intentional and like sort of touching base with people. With us, I think it's been very unique because our group is so large, and I feel like even we've had challenges where like doing life with such a big group of people, and conversations where it's like, hey, like I can't be best friends with 20 people.
Yeah.
And I'd love to talk more about that.
Right.
It's like how the intricacies of like, hey, like we know we're a big family, but like, yeah, I'm not gonna see Veronica every day. Like I live in Woodbridge, she's doing her thing in DC, but we do come back and just, let's talk more about like how that works, like having a large extended family, and then like cultivating, individual relationships within it.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point, because I think that we've become family, right? Like I think that like time because there was a point where we were spending a lot of time together collectively, and so I think that we've become family, and through that family, friendships come from that family, but the family always comes back together. Like I don't see and talk to like every member of my family all the time, right? But like there has been there's a foundation that has actually been laid. So as we're talking about like being intentional, you have to be intentional at that, and you have to like establish something. And so I think like in terms of like the dynamics of like a large group, there still has to be something or a large friend or like a family group, like even a larger church family or a larger small group or whatever type of group it is, like there has to be even if it's 20 to 500 people, there has to be a coming together still. There has to still be like a foundation that is laid. And I think that, of course, from that foundation that has been laid, because you still, even no matter how big the group is, roots still have to be laid. And so like from there, of course, like you will naturally have people that may draw closer to each other within that, and like draw friend groups within that. Like we talked about, there are men and women that like are a part of our family, that are part of our friend groups. Like of course, like they're these are my brothers, right? But like they're still only, like, of course, like me and Veronica will have like a natural, because we're both women, we're going to naturally draw together, and Reggie and Mike would naturally draw together because they're men. There are things that like he can't come to me and talk to me about, that I can't come talk to him about. So I think that that's just like a natural thing that happens. But we have all decided to show up. We
decided. It took time, because I think Mike mentioned being vulnerable. And it's like, there's, there will be times where, it's some of us, and then the group got larger, and then you would see either people's sort of demeanor maybe change. Like we're talking about something, it's like, I'm gonna be reserved today, and then they're like, Reggie, why are you being reserved? I was like, no, there's a lot more people here, and it's like that they are extended family, but only the I was only talking to the two of y'all, and then because again we're all really comfortable with one another, like other people would be comfortable, like, no, Reg, like remember you was talking about that whatever.
Come on.
But then I was like, nah, bro, like no, that was just for us.
No, that's real. Yeah. Usually would have like big, larger gathering events with the people who stayed back at like 12 and later with like the core group. Right. Where we would get into like the deeper discussion, which is why we would end up staying to like 5 or 6 in the morning, because we were like having our like individual hangouts. Yeah. But I think for us at least, for what we've been able to do is we hung out a ton in the beginning. Kind of that like, romance phase where you just like don't want to be apart from each other. So like for years we had that traveling, constantly one another's faces. But we have a group me, so it's called I think it's like #squad actually, which is kind of cool. So we have a group me where we stay in touch with celebrations, events. We have a calendar, people threw things out. During COVID, we had Zoom chats, all types of things to stay connected, stay together as one, even with the distance. Reggie moved away 2 years ago to LA, but he's still kind of stayed in touch and stayed connected, which has been really good and really important. Even with the distance, it's you're still here in family.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So how I handle it with the big vast majority of our group, of our friends that we have, I treat it like my normal family, honestly. I don't talk to all my cousins 24/7 or every day, but if I see them, I'm genuinely excited.
Yeah.
There's a root in the foundation that we grew from already because we hung out when we were kids, or we played sports or something.
Exactly.
And it's and for me, I'm man, yo, it really is good to see you. I need to do a better job at staying in touch.
Right, that's always the thing.
That's always because I always know for me, texting. So I used to really pump myself up, yo, I'm one of the best texters of the texters, right? Hey,
who knew?
Hey, I would reach out if it was life or death.
I'll give that to you.
But at the same time, I started realizing I was you ain't hit no one up in about 2 months, and it's where have you been? I was I did not. I was so I had to start really understanding myself. Where I was I don't do that with my family either. I was I need to start doing that with my family and friends now, to where that helps me also too.
Right.
Where it's not even someone's pointing it out to me, but it's also the Lord showing me, hey, I need you to also do this. Stay in touch.
Right.
Don't just separate yourself as you're growing.
Right.
So I like the difference. So you said you would see people and genuinely be excited. That's not me. I'm hey, if I haven't seen you in a while, I may or may not be super excited, but I'm intentional, and Veronica can attest. If I want to build a relationship with you, I low key. This might sound weird. It's the first time I ever said this, but I probably date my friends. I would we would go out and be hey, I know you from a larger group, but if I care to be friends with you, I'm going to build a relationship with you. I'm going to reach out to you individually, and we're going to hang out because, again, you can't fully know someone from the perspective of a large group. It's no, I'm going to take time to actually individually get to know you, and that's just me. When it comes to being a relational person and someone who values quality time, it's okay, sure, I get quality time from you in a group setting, but if I actually value you as a friend, we're going to have some kind of one-on-one connection. And I feel I personally go out of my way, everyone in the squad, hey, no, you've heard from me individually, we've gone to lunch or to dinner or whatever. Maybe not right off the bat, but a few years in, I'm oh yeah, I haven't really gotten to know that person. I really haven't got to know that person. Let me really see what they're about.
Yeah. I love it. Well, this has been such a great conversation. Yes. We really just wanted to take a moment to invite people into our relationship and or our relationships, and really allow the heart of community, at least from our perspective, to be displayed, with the hopes that it will encourage our culture family to really pursue community. Ultimately, our relationship with God is the number one most important relationship that we have, and so of course I truly believe that any community should really push us in the direction of relationship with Jesus. But Jesus said, in the Bible, it says to Jesus said that the most important commandments is to love the Lord our God with all our heart, with all our soul, with all our strength, and to love our neighbor as ourselves. So it's first relationship with God and then relationship with people. And so so really honestly, that's really what we want to see. We really want to see our family, our culture family, those that are watching this, to really pursue community and to know that it's a part of God's original design. It is a part of it's a part of his original intent for our lives. And so do you guys have any final words of encouragement in terms of community?
Pursue community. Go find friends. Find a great group of people plugged in and stay.
Well, if you have any community that has the name of Michael Woods, you're in pretty good company. But most definitely pursue community. Just as Veronica said, that's the most important thing. You really want to be able to grow with people and be able to pursue Christ at the same time.
I'd say stay open-minded and chase things that make you uncomfortable.
I love it. That's so good. Again, guys, if you feel like you don't have community and you desire it or you don't see those around you, stay connected to us. That's what this platform is for. Reach out to us. Let us know. Comment in the comment section. We'll be sure to connect back with you. That's what we want to do. We want to create a platform where we can actually cultivate community no matter where you are. We want to make sure that that you're able to have access to something such as community, which is huge, even if you may not necessarily see it around you physically at this moment. We do believe that the Lord has community for all of us, like the Lord places the lonely in family. So we love you guys. Until next time, thank you for joining us.